Right, some South African music for you right here on UJFM on your National Heritage Day. And I'm joined in the studio today by Dr. J. Ellis, Director of Internationalism at the University of Johannesburg. Basically, we're going to talk about the University of Johannesburg International Festival. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Welcome to UJFM.
Nice to be here.
So I just want to ask you, the festival, the University of Johannesburg International Festival, what inspired the idea?
You know, it started in 2003, the old Rand Afrikaans University Rao International Office. I thought about what it is that we can do to really, one, highlight the fact that the Rand Afrikaans University of the time was part of the community of international scholars, but also that we had to recognize the rich cultural diversity represented by the large numbers of international students already on the campus at the time. Also to give those students an opportunity to express their being part of this community, to feel part of it, and therefore to celebrate that rich cultural heritage that we shared at the time.
Okay. When was the first festival?
It was 14th of August in 2003, and we had it in the foyer of the Sanlam Auditorium at the time.
Okay. Awesome. But back in the day, it was still used to be Rao.
Yes, it was still the Rao International Festival. Interesting to talk about the inspiration. You know, when I was an international student myself, I was part of such celebrations at the university in the United States where I studied. And I'd often dreamed that we would be able to put on something of that nature. But there was another thing, and it was not just to celebrate the students, the international students on campus, but also to, if possible, although that was never really realized, expose to the surrounding community this rich international cultural heritage.
Yeah. What are the different aspects of the University of Johannesburg International Festival?
Well, the different aspects obviously is to celebrate those different cultural elements. One cannot celebrate all of those cultural elements, but you classify them basically by such things as national costume, the kinds of creative arts, whether it be dance, song, or some other kind of celebration. For instance, the Eastern people often would have a martial arts element as part of it. And then, of course, cuisine, very important, the different kinds of food that we eat all over the world. Some people like to take part in that kind of different kinds of food.
So it's basically a festival of cultures.
To a large extent, because it's our culture that says who we are, what we are, and why we are what we are. And so if you want to have pride in that, it's also celebrating, as we said last year, celebrating your national pride.
Yeah. Well, what's different from this festival to other cultural events in South Africa?
Well, I think the defining word there is the international aspect of it. You know, culture, of course, is a sensitive thing. In old South Africa, you know, it was really very, very sensitive. And you want to deal with it in a way that says one respects the differences, one respects the diversity, but you do not want to use that kind of difference or diversity to separate one from each other. And certainly if you deal with that at an international context, it means that we celebrate the way in which in the world, yes, we are different, but we have certain common objectives to strive towards, respect for dignity, respect of our basic humanness, those kinds of things.
So those are basically the objective for the first festival, which you say?
That's how we started out. And I would say that it pretty much stayed the same. Okay? Maybe there was larger emphasis as we went along on the participation of the students themselves and for them to come up creatively with that celebration. It was like that from the very beginning. But I must say the first one was pretty much our inaugural one. It's one that we hoped we could bring it off. But the main thing was at least to just stage it and to have people expose themselves in this particular manner. And so, yes, we have changed only in the extent to which we have increased the numbers of people and so on. But I would say the format is basically the same as how we started out. It's just we're much more confident about how we do it now.
Yeah, it grows throughout the years, basically. Who organizes the festival?
The festival at the moment is organized by a collection of people, starting with what used to be the international office. It's a different number of staff people who serve international students at different levels. In the old days of Rao and UJ, when we still had one international office, the international office was the project office for it, along with student groups. I remember right from the very beginning, we involved the SRC and the International Student Organization. The first one, interestingly enough, we had a fledgling International Student Organization that just about died at the time. It was called RIS, Rao International Student Society. And interestingly enough, that festival resuscitated that organization. It was re-established. I remember that the first SRC was really enthusiastic, or the first festival's SRC involvement, rather, I should say.
Yeah.
I remember the late Zahir Omarji, who was very, very active in what we did at the time. Yeah.
Okay, and then, well, do you have different themes every year in the festivals?
Yes, we changed the theme from year to year. I remember themes such as around the world in 3-4 hours.
Okay.
Come and say hello. Last year we had the theme celebrating national pride, and this year we decided to choose the theme enhancing friendship. I think that theme for us is of significance, particularly in the light of all of the things that happened earlier this year, the xenophobic attacks on people. And our idea was that as we celebrate this diversity that we have, we want to emphasize yet the oneness of our humanness. And rather than to dwell on the negative, let's use a positive statement that we want to enhance the friendships that indeed exist and can be built out furthermore between people of different nations with different cultures as we find them here on our campus.
And when does it take place, the festival, and where?
The festival this year is on the 17th of October. It is at the Fountain Court. 2 years ago we had it there for the first time, and that was very successful. Last year we were a little bit caught off guard when the rain came down. So this year we're having it there again, but we are putting in place a plan B that would not disrupt us too much when it happens. We hope that it won't.
Okay. And then is this open for the public, or is it guests, invitation only?
Well, the campus, as you know, is a space that's a public space, but open first of all to students and staff people who work here.
Yeah.
So first of all students are welcome, but we do invite certain special kinds of guests, like members of the diplomatic community, for instance. For us, that's a very important aspect of what we do on that day, that we give those members of the diplomatic community an idea that we're glad to have their students here, that we are proud that we have them here, and that we can extend the services that we do even beyond what we do, and that their involvement is important to us. So yes, members of the public would be welcome, but you can just imagine if you throw this campus open entirely to just about everyone. We can.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for joining us on UJFM. Just that date again, the 17th of October.
17th of October, down at the Fountain Court. Let's all UJ students come down there. I'd like to see more and more South African students. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much. And that was Dr. J. Ellis, from the Director of Internationalization of University of Johannesburg.